So in this video, we're going to be talking about multiplying and dividing fractions. And in a previous video, we talked about adding and subtracting fractions. And in my opinion, multiplying and dividing fractions are actually much easier than adding and subtracting fractions because we don't have to worry about having a common denominator when we're multiplying and dividing fractions, right? Remember, in addition and subtraction, we had to find a common multiple between the denominators if they were different, and then manipulate the fractions so that we end up with two fractions with common denominators. However, with multiplication and division, we don't have to worry about that, right? So let's start. Let's say we had the fraction 4 over 7, and we were multiplying that by 2/3, right? 2 over 3. Now, remember, with addition and subtraction, we'd have to find a common a common denominator between these two, find a common multiple between 7 and 3, and then manipulate these fractions. However, with multiplication, we don't have to do that, right? So we can just go ahead, multiply 4 times 2, which we'd end up with 8, and then multiply 7 times 3, and we'd end up with 21, right? Now, this is simple. We can just multiply across here, right? So you saw I multiplied across. 4 times 2 is 8. I ended up, since I multiplied those numerators, our numerator will be 8. Multiplied 7 times 3, and then our denominator will be 21. It's pretty simple. Now always check if you can simplify this fraction. This fraction can't be simplified. 8 over 21 can't be simplified. So we're done here, right? Just multiply the numerators, that'll be your numerator. Multiply the denominators, that'll be your denominator, right? Now division is a little trickier, but not by that much. So again, let's have 4 over 7, and let's say we're dividing it, right, by 2 over 3, right? Now this is different, and there's actually a couple ways you can do this, but my preferred way is actually I'd flip one of the fractions, and then I would multiply, right? So in this case, I'm going to flip 2 over 3, right? So if I flip 2 over 3, I'd end up with 3 over 2, right? And then after I flip it, I can then just multiply that fraction, or multiply these fractions, right? So 4 times 3 is 12, 7 times 2 is 14. We can simplify these, right? 12 divided by 2 is 6, 14 divided by 2 is 7, and then we'd end up with 6 over 7 as our answer, right? So with multiplication, you just want to multiply across in both the numerator and the denominator, right? Not keeping the denominator like we did with addition and subtraction. You're manipulating the denominator, right? Even if we had common denominators, for example, if we were multiplying 1/2 times 3 halves, right? We wouldn't keep this denominator. We'd end up with 3 over 4, right? And conversely, if we were dividing 1/2 by 3/2, let's say, you'd flip the 3 halves, right? So that we'd have 1/2 times 2 over 3, right? And then we'd end up with 2 over 6 or 1/3, right? So that's multiplying and dividing fractions.